patients experience due to the nature of our own system. For good reasons, it has been mentioned here, and I would like to emphasize that there is need to also increase the level of awareness and education, is for the fact that people need to understand what this disease is, how patients present, because sometimes people keep their relatives with them for a longer time than necessary before they present to the hospital. And sometimes some of the practices that are being done around the time that patients develop stroke, like trying to feed them with traditional concoctions, could be harmful to the patients, and those are some of the things that actually worsen the outcome of some of those patients that develop this disease condition. So I think programs like this can provide an avenue to educate the people and provide information that is useful, so that people can understand what they need to do when a relation is found in that kind of condition. And that helps the healthcare system as well, because if we reduce the burden of those problems and the complications that can arise from them, we are likely to reduce the stress or the strain on the healthcare system and the burden the system suffers.
Dr. Ramalan, for your response to that question. I'd like to get to Dr. Otobo. Listening to Dr. Ramalan and Dr. Gadzama speak about the treatment options available and the challenges. Of course, you want to come back to your earlier, why some Nigerians will seek spiritual help, because, like already mentioned, in different hospitals, the facilities are not available. The personnel to deal with the whole issue are also not available. So, I mean, it just shows that, there's a vacuum somewhere. But, speaking on stroke, I want you to tell us, is there a relationship between Bell's palsy and stroke, considering the fact that there are similarities in the outlook?
Okay, thank you. Well, Bell's palsy is just a focal neurological deficit. It's not as a result of the cut of blood supply to any part of the brain, but the nerve itself is being affected by a viral infection. So that's not, sometimes they appear similar a bit, but the causative factors are different. Now, coming back to the management of stroke, I know that there are challenges, when it comes to managing stroke because of the level of development of the country and the availability of facilities. But once stroke has happened, we should try to make the best out of a bad situation. And though my colleagues have rightly blamed the patient for not coming on time, but some health facilities also have some blame. I have seen where patients presented early, but they didn't get the right attention that they needed, either because the hospital that knows well that they can't manage the case, they just want to keep the patient for 1 or 2 days so they can just have the patient then before they kick the can down the road, or even patients that go for CT scan. Sometimes the CT scan report is not ready until after 48 hours. It's useless. What's the use? I want to tell Nigerians, if your relative have these symptoms that we say and we suspect it to be stroke, think of the place where you can get a CT scan service quickly. And if anybody is telling you come back tomorrow, tell them no. There must be someone who can look at the CT scan and say, there's something here, let's do something about it. Because in many centers, they may be very busy, and they can say, come back tomorrow, come back in 2 days. Maybe you are doing the scan today, Friday. They'll say, come on Monday for the report. By Monday, it will be useless. Insist. This is an avenue to let you know that you have the right to insist, that you want to know what the report of the CT scan is saying. Even if it's not a full report, a preliminary report, someone should peep into that CT scan and see what is there. In my center, you can do an emergency CT scan in 10 minutes upon arrival. Yes, and we don't have downtime. You do it.
That's commercial, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm just telling you the standard. That's the standard of care. And all the facilities, all the specialists are there. And they will have the same thing in many centers. So this is one lesson that people must
What is the
take
cost
away.
like?
CT scan is somewhere around 70,000 naira per scan. Some people's problem is not the money. It's just that they need to know where the pitfalls are. You need to know when you are being mismanaged so that you can, ask for your right. That's one. Then the second point I want to take, this might be my parting shot, I don't know if I have another time. When a patient already has a stroke, if he survives it, that patient is at risk of having another stroke because the risk factor is still there. So the patient should be cared for as though stroke is about to happen, and they must do everything to prevent it, because a second stroke is usually more fatal. It's like when you have a plane going with two engines. If the plane loses one engine, the pilot can manage to glide until he lands. If the second engine is lost, there's actually no hope for that.
So what's the essence of rehabilitation then?
No, rehabilitation is just to try to bring back some of the functions that have been lost. Okay, maybe the man is still managing to walk. Maybe if the muscle power initially was 0/5, now is now getting to 2/5. The brain is trying to recover itself. Some of the neurons are, the remaining neurons are trying to make up for the ones that have been lost. So that's the rehabilitation process. But if in that process you now get another hit, then a lot of people don't survive the second.
You talked about care after a first stroke. You manage the patient like a stroke is about to happen. What is that care about? What is it about? What they eat? How
controlling the blood pressure, all the risk factors of stroke that we have talked about today, making sure that you minimize those risk factors. If the man was smoking, he should stop smoking. If he's having high blood pressure, his blood pressure can never be above normal range. If he's diabetic must be controlled. If they give him antiplatelet medications like those blood thinners, he must take them regularly. If he was not exercising, he must begin to exercise. His diet must be in focus. He must take a lot of leafy vegetables, fruits, and avoid too much red meat. Those are the things that they must focus on to ensure that it doesn't happen.
One of the doctors spoke about hereditary being a risk factor.
Well, the hereditary, yes, there are some families that have family history of stroke. But those family history of stroke is still as a result of family history of hypertension, family history of diabetes, and family history of hypercholesterolemia. So when you have a patient with stroke and you have one or two family members, you are going to be looking out for what were the predisposing factors to this stroke that is in the family. If you take care of those things, you can still mitigate stroke in other members of the family.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Otamba. Now let's go to our Maiduguri studio where we have Dr. Gadzama. Earlier on, Prof talked about the issue of policy. How can healthcare policy change our policies, or maybe policy changes address stroke prevention in the country? Do we need to strengthen it or strengthen them?
Yes, there's need to strengthen health policy. First of all, government should have the political will, because stroke comes with huge financial burden. Like especially the investigative procedures, the neuroimaging, they are very expensive. I think they should be included in the National Health Insurance Scheme. And regions should have stroke centers. We have been talking about medical aspect of treating stroke. Completely we didn't say anything about neurosurgeons. They are important. That's why you need to have a stroke center where you have a neurosurgeons. If the stroke, there are some strokes, especially when the blood vessel ruptures, the hemorrhagic type, it's the neurosurgeons that treat it. All they do is just open the brain and evacuate the clot, and you see patient will recover immediately. So stroke centers should be spread across the regions, at least
facilities for appropriate medication. Some of these medications, because making the diagnosis within this, they're very expensive. As I said, in Lagos, 1.2 million. Over 6 months, 100,000. For all the especially here, to consider that readily, because then people don't afford. So government need to look at this so that they can subsidize some of this medication if we really want to reduce the burden of death, mortality due to stroke, and improve functional outcome. And more centers, as I said, should be equipped with neurosurgical equipments. Most of the centers, some states virtually may not even have a neurosurgeons. So what will you do if you have a hemorrhagic stroke, or if you have a large infarct, malignant cerebral edema? That's infarction, very large with accumulation of fluid all around. You need to do what? Drain it. So it's not just medical. Medical is basically for what? Occlusion of blood vessels. But those blood vessels that have ruptured, the neurosurgeons is their work. So, but in conjunction with other allied health workers, just as we say, it's a multidisciplinary approach. The management of stroke is taxing, and it's associated with huge financial burden, both to the government in terms of providing the appropriate facilities after diagnosing the appropriate medication. Medications are very expensive. So the government, the will should be there to strategize on how to, if possible, make even screening. In some places, when you go to measure blood pressure in some center, you have to pay. It should be free. People should be trained, especially to man the stroke center, where you have advanced equipment. You need to be trained. Training should be emphasized with training and training. So, these are things that I think the strategies that will reduce the burden, identification of stroke, the vascular risk factors. People should be trained about that. The diagnostic facilities should be available, if not in all the hospitals, but across the regions. Then medication to intervene. This newer medication, because in treating stroke, you have to look at the passenger, that's the blood. The blood thinners, they are very expensive. Tenecteplase, alteplase. Basically now we only give antiplatelet, vasopressor or clopidogrel. Then you have to look at the passage, that's the blood vessels. Those atherosclerosis, that's the deposition of fat. You give statins. That one, they are not expensive. So you give those ones. But if there are large blood vessels that are involved, the neurosurgeons have to come in. Then the power, the brain, you have to give things to stimulate rewiring of the brain. These drugs are expensive. That's when you use the neuro aid. You need things like Tocovit. So many acetylcholine. These things are very expensive. Then you now reduce what? Pressure. Because of the blockage, you have ischemic changes or hemorrhage. You have raised intracranial pressure. So you must give drugs that will reduce that raised intracranial pressure. Because one of the major causes of mortality in our patient, cerebral edema, it can cause sconing. Then you must prevent complication. You identify and prevent. That first 1 week of treatment in the stroke center is to support the patient and prevent complication. When you're talking of rehabilitation, you're not talking of the chronic state where you want to take care of the chronic complications. And lastly, you have to prevent reoccurrence, which is very important. So the fact that you've managed a stroke patient, you've discharged him, you must place that person on preventive drugs. And what are they? The antiplatelet for those that have ischemic stroke, and lipid lowering agents, because apart from lowering the lipid, they stabilize plaques so that they don't get dislodged and predispose you to another stroke. If it's hypertensive, you add antihypertensive. If it's diabetic, you add appropriate, or you refer to the endocrinologist to manage. So these are the stages of managing patients. So you can see with the present economic situation, an individual cannot do it. The government really have to come to support, or if we want to reduce the burden of stroke in terms of mortality, morbidity, and financial implication in this country.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gadzama. Because of time, thank you for your comments. Let's get to Professor Obiabo now to, let us know his final comments. What will be your advice to patients, to Nigerians in general, and of course, government, just in 60 seconds?
Important issue about the options of care. All patients with acute stroke need rehydration.
That connection is not as clear as we wanted. So let's get to Dr. Mansour Ramalan now. Your final words as round of the conversation.
Thank you very much. On the final note, I want to use this medium to appeal to the government to assist in helping to create necessary awareness to the patients, and also to support the system, the healthcare system, in establishing some of these stroke units and centers with some of the high-tech equipment. And finally, for the National Health Insurance Agency to also chip in to intervene and make some of these medications a bit more affordable and accessible to patients. Thank you.
Dr. Mansour Ramalan, consultant physician, diabetologist, and endocrinologist, and first vice president, Diabetes Association of Nigeria, and vice president, Association of Clinical Endocrinologists of Nigeria, also chairman, Non-Communicable Diseases Committee of the Nigerian Medical Association. It was a pleasure to have you on the program. Many thanks for joining us. All right, we also want to appreciate Professor Yahaya Obiabo, consultant neurologist, Federal Medical Center, Yenagwa, Bayelsa State. Thank you for joining us for the conversation. And of course, Dr. Musa Joseph Gadzama, consultant neurologist, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. It was a pleasure to have you join us. Finally, of course, very importantly, Dr. Christopher Otabo, orthopedic surgeon and MD, Alliance Hospital. Many thanks for being our guest again today. We appreciate you.
Yuri, I think you have to, it's advised that women should take it easy on men to reduce the stroke. So,
I think it's both ways. I think it's both ways.
Take it easy
men take it easy on women, and women take it easy on men.
Just take it easy on us. The pressure is much. So let's just reduce that pressure. Well, that's Good Morning Nigeria today. We thank you for joining us. I am Ademola Adeoye.
I'm Yanwe John. Take care of your health.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and, it's kept, together as one individual entity.
tourism is driving me to go deep into the Nyama mines. It is the biggest coal mine of South. What is a watershed in the history of Yoruba land generally, and Ife in particular. Now, because they have a leader now. Simply put, Gura is a beautiful countryside with awesome landscapes. If something differently would be done to the Nigerian textile industries, that our youth would be employed. Many people that attend the church here can tell you. Service in Holy Rosa is in Benin. We are taking a canoe tour of the communities on the bank of River Niger in Getso. If the Emir of Yaouri in Kebbi State will have his way, his kingdom will be the ultimate tourism destination of Nigeria. It is not there yet, but it is not for lack of will or absence of potentials. The Emir is building a dreamland where his emirate will be a new Mecca, a place where pilgrims come from all over the world to commune with nature and find peace and relaxation in its tourism endowment, its enviable cultural heritage, and in its people who are ever warm and accommodating and proud of the leadership they have. As it stands, Yaouri Emirate is a compelling story of how sound and selfless leadership is transforming a largely agrarian community into the global map of agro-business, a gateway to epic tourism, environment and landmarks, and an enthralling cultural hub of global appeal. Yaouri is having its modest, and its progress to the promised land is unimpeded. The world is not new to regatta and cultural festival. It is a tradition of great nobility and magnificence. The Yaouri Emirate is telling a story about what it is, its life, its livelihood, what keeps it busy, and what makes it different in the whole of Kebbi State and in the whole of Nigeria. Can you look at this perspective? Look at the people there have in Keno, like the people of the village that live on land. People of the from it to find that fish, they all and they go of their own. That in Yaouri no regatta festival. Regatta has a relationship with their water tradition. Regatta is cultural festival again. Already, it is building up to being an exceptional showbiz, the like of which is rare in Nigerian space. It is a purposeful festival whose drive is to add value to the Nigerian state and bring to global attention the people of Yaouri Emirate. The cultural festival is a multi-event extravaganza, and each event has a purpose and a mission. It never goes beyond 3 days, but if you are a party, it can stick for 3 decades. Yaouri Emirate is a riverine community. All its 3 local government areas have River Niger in their backyard. Kebbi State has over 380 kilometer stretch of River Niger to itself, the largest coverage of the eternal river in the country. Yaouri may have 200 kilometers of it. Proximity to River Niger allows for extensive social and economic activities all year round for the people of Yaouri. It is the main inspiration for their regatta and cultural festival. It is the backbone of their prosperity. Perhaps the greatest influence of River Niger to the people of Yaouri Emirate is in their agriculture. It allows for all year-round cultivation of crops, some of which are unique to the Emirate. It is a massive agriculture that includes fishing. Their land area is no less valuable and in fact suitable for the cultivation of unique type of onions that are small and pepperish and identified nationally as Yauri onion. In context of their agricultural abundance, the festival always built a classic agricultural show. It is an essential component of the festival, and the desire is to showcase to investors the agric wonderland that is Yauri.
When we speak of agriculture, anywhere we go, you know that Nigeria is a powerhouse. In Yauri, we have come to witness not only agriculture, but the will and the effort of an individual to promote livelihood of not only his individuals or his community or his emirate, but anybody that has anything to come in touch with him. Now, one of the main things that he does is to showcase the vast natural resources that his land has been empowered with and show it to the world.
Yauri is actually a food basket that has never been known. But then in Yauri, every single crop that is growing in Nigeria, from oil palm to cocoa to kola nuts to yams and to all the grains that you know about are being grown, sugar cane are being grown in Yauri.
Yeah, look, Professor,
but then just take a look.
Sorry.
Take a look.
Yeah, I cannot even raise it. But
this is a typical cassava tuber.
But whoever can think that
Yauri emirate,
whoever can think that Yauri can produce tubers of cassava
like this.
No, it's,
and you know, it's then you know, if we just take cassava now, you know, cassava is being processed not just for gari but for starch and ethanol.
Yes.
Now the demand for cassava globally has increased by about 70%. And now we have to make these people realize that they are sitting on a gold mine,
yes,
but they are not aware.
I went through every stand at this agri show and marveled at the variety and beauty that there are in the agriculture of these people. The cassava magic, soya beans, in which they have 5 varieties: yam, sweet potato, banana plantain, mango, and of course rice. If at the end of the festival, the people of Yauri, for example, can have access to rice processing intervention on a large scale, thousands will be empowered. It will create a chain of activities and livelihoods around millions of bags of paddy they cultivate. It is generally a positive and reassuring display that with the Yauri, the nation has an ally in its drive for food security.
One will be convinced that there's no reason for hunger in this country. We have all what it takes to feed our people. This country is blessed with the main capital. Capital are human beings, and we have the landmass. If you see variety of products that is being produced here, it's not about feeding ourselves. We have to export.
I captured the emir going around the agri show stands with the passion and compassion of a father. He must be excited by some good news shared by experts on the cultivation of especially sorghum. Crops, fruits and vegetables apart, I was enamored by the rich display of livestock endemic to Yauri Emirate at the agri show, and of course the general variety that are common. There are these dwarf species of goats, a special species of white donkeys, and generally a rich montage of fascinating livestock that either support production or livelihood. The roadside Yauri Regatta and Cultural Festival can be chalked and it can be feisty. Music and dance make up a chunk of the roster, and they are thematic. There is not a dance, but it has peculiar moments when it happens. Yauri is multi-ethnic. Across the ethnic varieties are different shades of spectacular music and dances that leave behind echoing presences. In a particular evening, the dancers were assembled. Their display reinforced the versatility and competence of Yauri Emirate to be in the tourism board of every embassy in Nigeria. In the North generally, occupational groups do have dance groups to reflect the heritage of their art. So farmer groups, hunters, blacksmiths, local barbers all were in parade to make a display of their art. They are the ethnic entities of the Emirate too, who are strictly speaking not Hausa, but they are a farming community and share the same larger environment. Their dances reflect what happens when the harvest is done, or when there is a wedding, or indeed when there is a festival. These are dances and songs you don't see anywhere. Yawuri is generally an accommodating environment and peaceful. At any event at the Emirate level, Nigerian ethnic identities resident there come out to identify with the event and also be an integral part of it. Throughout the regatta period, these entities are pleasant presences as intrinsic members of an all-embracing emirate. The root cause of greatness of every land and every nation in the world is accommodation. When it was music and dance time, their participation was seamless and appreciated. When groups turn to an evening out, not much insight about their life story can be learned. On the final day of the regatta, I followed up on the unique costumes of some of these dancers, inquired about their lives and got some insights.
When you think about the dance of these Gungawa people, is that they have a rich variety of young girls. And like many other dances, when you have mature people doing so, these are young girls. Many of them are married.
There is no money for them to be at school. They are engaged mostly on farm activities, except there's a situation where someone decides to sponsor a person. Otherwise, we the Dukawa take only to agriculture, and we know it's never enough.
Another wonderful dimension to this festival is support for enterprise and competitiveness in entrepreneurship.
The major objective of this event is to improve the economic well-being of the citizens. And you have seen youth participating. And those youth that have participated in the activities have been well rewarded with very mouth-watering gifts and prizes. And we feel that will encourage the youth.
Throughout, artisans and news groups go forward to compete in tailoring, skinning of goats, and similar like enterprises. Winners of various events were handsomely rewarded as a measure of encouragement to advance their craft. There was also an elaborate trade fair in place, where traders were given chance to take advantage of the large market provided by the days of the festival. It was also a get-together point where farmers interface with the buyers, investors, manufacturers of farm facilities like machinery, seeds, insecticide, fertilizers, and provision of extension services. Emir Mohammed Zayan Abdullahi, in particular, took a particular interest in what the Emporium is doing by visiting its various stands. The regatta is the climax of the 3-day event and perhaps the most engaging. Here, the water spirit of the people of Yauri is invoked, and they showcase their art of living with the river Niger. Outside was already breathing heavy with interested humanity when we arrived. We were in time to capture the Emir, Mohammed Zayan Abdullahi, and the Kebbi State governor sensationally arrived in Benue by boat. A speech on the day can be an anticlimax, but I had the state governor, Dr. Nasiru Yusuf, assuring the people of Yaoundé that by next year the festival will hold on its permanent site. A very pleasant story to hear, because the present Benue, although not altogether small, is nonetheless a far cry from the humanity that annually turn out for the event. Perhaps as a measure of appreciation of his continuous support and love for the people of Yaoundé, the people gave him a gift of live hippopotamus captured from the waters of the Emirate.
Some communities give horses, some communities give vehicles, some communities give cows to their visiting dignitaries. In Yaounde's case, we have given a live hippopotamus to the so that we are, that suggests that the saying that the Yaoundé riverine community is not a folk, it's a reality.
The hippo story is an interesting one, but the water story continues. It was an interesting and intense afternoon of competitive water sport. It was almost picture perfect, and you are almost spoiled for choice of what event to watch. The water sees various shades of canoers on display of skill or on commercial trips to hundreds of riverine communities along the path of River Niger. The riverside was essentially for water sport. Key to the competition was canoeing for male and female. Yet, there is a swimming competition for men and women as well, and it mainly entails butterfly style, but of course not limited to it. By the way, the men cover more distance during this swimming competition than the women. Perhaps the most amusing of the competition is swimming for boys, where they have pot delicately balanced on their head. If the pot skips and tumbles, the competitor is out. The more interesting bit of the sport, however, is the sink business. Competitors will go underwater, and the last to raise his head above water is the winner. As the events are going on the sidelines are pleasant distractions that add value to the whole event. The spectators never fail to amaze me. Many defied gravity to float on water. Within the competition, there are swimmers on good and sundry other competitive events that leave all in attendance in awe and delight. The regatta proper is a festival of color, invocation of ancient Yaoundé tradition, top chart of art. A new wife in this ancient tradition is taken to her house in a flotilla of decorated canoes and manned by everybody from riverside. And it's fair. The procession has a new wife and a tray and all attachment. One can do home. In the context of this festival, the new wife is guided by special guest, the governor of the state at the end of the week, who had provided some guidance on the life of man, peaceful and fruitful. In context of the background, that's a beautiful competition. It is important that we to find support from others. So, evidently, they have visibility for a government of President title holder of the his delegate is his time political ally, right from the time at the House of Representatives. This he does the respect and merit. Keep do his boy. Let's see.
Regatta.
The big see they have transport and the people put their here. And also life jacket, and we are working on it seriously. We have devoted a reasonable percentage of the hyper budget this year in the purchase of the life jacket and safer boat.
It is not an exaggeration to say that there is no annual cultural festival across the country that brings together an entire community of 3 local governments to the display of their heritage to the world, like the Yauri Regatta and Cultural Festival. The spirit to unite all its people and put them on the path of productivity and self-reliance has been the life vocation of the emir. He never wavers. He never stops believing that these people have all that it takes to be great, and they should have to be great.
Farmers benefit from their farming, that will give them encouragement to do more. And fortunately, we have good market for everything in this country. Our rice is exported to Kano. Groundnut exported to Kano and other places. So that's why we want the government, especially the government of the state, which is up and doing, and encourage people to be able to produce these things, so that will be exported not only within the country but overseas.
As a people in their upward journey to greatness, the Yahudi community do have an ending storylines. Potentially, as a liberal community, the federal government had at different circumstances pledges various degrees of support programs to enhance their economic life. Why there are that promises?
When Kingdom was constructed, before then, both from Niger Delta, from other areas, they used to sail up to Nigeria with no obstruction. But with Kingdom, they cannot. They can only sail up to the dam. So we proposed, when we complained to the government, please do something so that this boat can sail up to Yaoundé. There is cash. You know, the river at south part of the dam is low, while the upriver is high. So the boats are put in container called lock. They are put there and water is pumped in the lock, so that the water will rise and the boat will. It is the level of what we have here. So the can still swim. That has not been done. So that's no way. If that locks were not constructed, that's no big boats wholesale can come here.
If I had a chance, I can tell the different life that Yauri Regatta and Cultural Festival is all day long. It is a thoroughly pleasing and educating get together, and one cannot wait for the next calendar of the ceremony. In summary, Yauri Emirate is a treasure of hypnotic water environment that stimulates growth of culture and agriculture, a land environment of ethnic diversity with the rich culture of uncommon agriculture, and a life of unique songs and dances that comes with the day-to-day life of the society. And with that, I say
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We will continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, that, that God has kept, together as one indivisible entity.
Services on the right channel gives you an edge over your competitors. NTA News 24 has all the platforms to get audience. With our digital format and wide range, we can reach your customers in next to no time. We are eager to promote your business, goods and services. So, partner with us for a very rewarding business experience. For more information, please call or visit our office at NTA Headquarters, Area 11, Abuja. NTA News 24. News